Good afternoon, and welcome to the Tennessean Bizcast. My name is Lance Williams, business editor here at the Tennessean, and we're joined today by Chicago-based art consultant Drew McManus, who's going to talk to us about the Nashville Symphony's financial woes and what this means, and help us get some perspective on this. Drew, we really appreciate you joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I guess the place to start, and one of the questions that a lot of readers have been having about this issue is, it's almost just a thought it's hard to fathom that a symphony building could be possibly up for foreclosure, and it just raises a lot of questions about sort of the future of that building. From your perspective, how serious is this, and what should we be concerned about right now?
Well, I believe there's no doubt that it's clearly a serious situation. It's unique in the country from a national perspective along the lines that the entire set of circumstances was really kicked off by the Nashville flood a couple of years ago, where the building was damaged considerably, took a large amount of money to be able to get it back up and running in the amount of time they needed to be able to start to pull the revenue that they were losing back in. And that has had a substantial impact on not just their cash flow, but their immediate cash position for a couple of years. And my understanding is this is where the problem has come into play with their letter of credit, which had difficulty in negotiating terms, which then impacted the deal with the bank to where they're trying to get their money out of it. And it's created the mess that you see now.
Okay. Now, one of the things, and we've heard that there are a lot of symphonies across the country, Detroit being an example, that have had major financial issues, labor issues, etc. From what I've read of your perspective on Nashville, though, you said Nashville is a little bit different and not quite ready to be lumped in with some of these other major issues. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. I think Nashville is truly a unique situation simply because of the flood and the impact that it's had. But they're also very different with regard to the decision among the board members to be able to focus their efforts toward now what's become a public fight with the Bank of America over the ability to negotiate terms to continue operations as best as possible, as opposed to going into this foreclosure situation. In Detroit, their financial woes were also exacerbated by some considerable bank debt caused by a brick and mortar capital project. But the decision of the organization was to take the fight internal between stakeholders, in this case, a labor dispute with the musicians, to get concessions as opposed to taking that fight with on a public scale with the banks that they owed money to.
Great. Well, that helps quite a bit. Tell us, what do you think the options are for the Nashville Symphony right now? What sort of options they have left on the table, and what they're having to think about in these last few weeks before potential foreclosure?
Well, the bulk of the conversation, I would be surprised if it doesn't focus on being able to obviously maintain control of the building, that asset. If nothing else, the timing works in their favor a bit because they don't have any immediate pressure of their regular concert activity being impacted by a potential temporary shutdown even. They don't have an extended summer season like some orchestras do. There's other events that obviously happen in the building that they need to deal with. But they need to make sure that, A, they don't lose control of the asset, and if necessary, prolong whatever even bankruptcy reorganization as an option to be able to toss it into the court's purview to put additional leverage on the bank to be able to get the sort of deal they want to be able to continue on a long-term basis.
Well, and one of the things we heard from talking with other orchestras that have gone through bankruptcy or gone through a similar type issues is concerns about the quality after it's all said and done, that potential loss of top flight talent, directors, etc. What do you think are some things that folks here in Nashville that maybe just enjoy the symphony, enjoys what it brings to the city, should be concerned about in terms of that potential damage to quality or other issues related to what we actually see in terms of programming?
That's a very good aspect to look at. And again, it's where Nashville's a bit different than the other orchestras that are going through major problems, in that the other groups are larger budget, meaning they have higher pay scales, they have better wages and benefits overall. But Nashville's certainly a very good wage with a very good benefit package for musicians, but not comparable. At the same time, since moving into the Schermerhorn, they've really moved up a level with their ability to be able to attract a higher caliber of musician, not just on a permanent level, but even their substitute pool is improved. And being able to maintain that that high level of work satisfaction and a friendly work environment that the Schermerhorn brings them. That's really one of the critical components to maintain. And if the fight turns internal instead of external toward the bank, you can see a lot of that start to fall apart very quickly.
Okay. Now this situation you talk about it being unique, is this something that you're hearing maybe other cities and symphonies kind of watching to see how this one plays out?
Oh, that's an excellent question. I can't speak for those other institutions, but I do know the field as a whole keeps a very close eye on what's happening elsewhere. I would, if anything, caution people against trying to put too many similarities or find too many commonalities from one dispute to another. For example, there are orchestras that have gone into labor disputes that really don't have anything to do with major austerity measures or cuts, but they're arguing over what ratio of an expanding pie the stakeholders share. That's in no way comparable to someplace like San Francisco as opposed to Minnesota. And then Nashville is unique with its structure as well. So, yes, they'll keep an eye on it, but they would be smart to not keep too close of an eye on it.
Gotcha. Well, Drew, we really appreciate your insight this morning. You've been very helpful, and obviously we'll be continuing to watch it and maybe tapping you on the shoulder as this goes along. But we certainly do appreciate your insight. It's been very helpful.
Terrific. Thank you very much, and I'm glad to see you folks covering it.
And we thank you for joining the Tennessean this morning on our webcast. We invite you back every day to see a variety of webcasts ranging from sports to arts and entertainment to news and politics. And again, thank you for joining us. Have a great afternoon.